Welcome back in, guys, inside the Pabalu. Like every podcast, we start with the Bible verse. So today's verse led to Joshua 1:9, and the Word of God states, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." Joshua 1:9. So with that being said, I'm with.
My name is Daniel Lucero. I'm from Oxnard, California, which is located in Southern California, also known as Boxnard for all you boxing fans out there. Yep.
Ooh, we're in the boxing game right now, bro.
You got some good boxers out of there, bro.
Okay,
You
okay.
got Fernando Vargas, Robert Garcia, and some other Kino boxers that came out of Chiques. It's also known as Little Chicago. Not too many people know that, but that's why it's so that's where I'm from.
There you go. Okay. Well, welcome in, bro. I appreciate you coming on such short notice.
Yeah.
Right. I was gonna kind of schedule you in because everything is kind of different right now, right? Like I brought it back old school, bro. I got the iPhone again, right? Because as we're growing, bro, it's only been 4 months, right? And it's been a blessing. Like I can't describe to you like everything that's kind of happening, right? And I think that with your podcast, like usually I'm a little bit more organized, but we've already talked. Like today, I mean, you could let the people know, right? Like how was our day so far? It's been like a blessing, right?
Oh, it's been awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So like long story short, so I meet up with brother Danny right here, and we go and we picked them up, and then we met someone in Tower, right? A potential podcast.
Right.
And then from there we went and I met with an old coworker of mine, and he gave us a tour pretty much of Fresno, right?
Awesome.
And it was like a lot of the gang territories, right? And we kind of broke it down, and it's kind of like I explained to Danny here, working where I worked at for the 10 plus years. I knew the areas, but I never had seen the areas, right?
Right.
And I thought that was kind of like, it was a unique experience.
It was.
How was it for you? Especially being from like out of town, right?
Yeah, I was familiar with some of the neighborhoods that he mentioned, but it was a neat experience because here I was with two former gang force task unit officers, and that was pretty cool in itself. And then the information that was shared, that just it was very interesting to say the least.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think that it's always good to, I mean, like I tell you, I grew up in a small town. So when I'm even in Fresno, it's like, it's a bigger town, right?
Right.
And when people talk about like, oh, I'm from, this area, or I'm from this area, for example, the east side. And when he showed us what the east side was or what it consists of how big it is, right? I'm like, oh, wow. He's like, remember, we're still on the east side. Yeah. Then he starts breaking down the hoods that we're in. And I was like, man, that's really interesting and cool. So I could just imagine if I was thinking it was cool and you being from, Oxnard, or what do they call it? Little Chicago?
Yeah, Little Chicago.
I'm pretty sure you were kind of like, thinking, wow, man, this is where, because I mean, if you want to give the people a little bit of background about yourself, you kind of, the reason we did that initially was you showed me the apartment you stayed on Bond Street, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what initially led to the tour, is what we'll call it.
Right. I resided at one time on Bond Street for about a year. This was about 6-7 months ago.
Okay.
And that was also pretty interesting because I went in there not only as a resident, but also to formulate some type of outreach because I'm a missions/outreach director with my organization is Zion Assembly Church of God. My pastor's Pastor Johnny Lopez out of Madera. And,
shout out Pastor Johnny Lopez.
Yeah. And so I went in there with that mentality to establish some type of ministry. But I ran into some problems not being from the area, being from down south. There's some people that came at me a certain way. But you know what? God saw fit to where he took care of all that. I met some very cool people out there, you know what I mean? Very cool people. And they treated me with respect, and they took me in. And I greatly appreciate that. Thank you. If you're watching this, you know who you are. Thank you.
There you go. And then, I mean, kind of like back to your introduction a little bit, right? So I know you've done podcasts in the past. Yeah. What I'm going to talk about, let's talk about how we met. So when I initially met Brother Danny here, I started barely getting into church, and, I would attend the Full Gospel here in Faribault, right?
Right.
With Pastor Ron Leva, which is a great church, by the way.
Yeah.
A lot of good brothers, a lot of good sisters.
Right.
And while I'm on my walk and I'm learning, we do a fellowship, right? They do a men's fellowship once a month, right? So there, those are in the area. Full Gospel does a men's fellowship once a month, and that's where I met Brother Danny, right?
Yes,
And
sir.
I think I was just starting like my walk and my journey at the time,
Right.
because when I introduced myself, right, I still had that, like, I would still introduce myself almost like I was still an officer, right? And it's just habit, 10 plus years of how I had been. It was very new to me, but I think that was when we first clicked, and it was more like, I got to hear your story. So, but I know it, right?
Yeah.
But they don't. So
Right.
why don't you kind of break that down? Let's start from, just kind of give us your story from like however you want to start, wherever you want to start, wherever God puts it in your heart. But just kind of give us a breakdown of, from that moment that you want to start to where we're at today.
Okay.
All right?
Uh, well, I came from a dysfunctional family, like many people have, Brother Lou, and just a lot of dysfunction, turmoil in the home, and such. Uh, so that led for a very emotional uh, turmoil inside. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Feelings of abandonment, a lot of anger, uh, just
Is that how you felt like when you were like a youngster?
yeah, I was pretty tore up inside. My soul was tore up. My mind was tore up. I was what you would probably call a withdrawn person because I kind of stood to myself because I felt misunderstood a lot. And like I said, the home was all, we didn't really have a strong foundation. My parents tried. I will give them that. They did take us to church at one time. They were serving the Lord, and yeah, growing up in the home, there was a lot of verbal abuse, physical abuse. See my parents always arguing.
Yeah.
Mom, bless her heart, she passed, but she was a heroin addict, and a lot of times she wasn't in the home, and a lot of times other family members had to take us into their home, and the house was already full. Yet I have three brothers, so it was the four of us moving into their home, my aunts and uncles and whatnot, grandmother here in Fresno, and they helped raise us also. So uh, they also helped establish in us a somewhat of a foundation,
Yeah.
teaching us different things, respect, give us the opportunity to go to school and to have a somewhat of a normal life. Yeah.
Yeah, because pretty much like, okay, so you're in Oxnard, right? You're growing up. What age or what time frame did you end up in Fresno? Because your Fresno story is very, when you bring it out, it's very, like I explained to you, like it's an inspiration. It's an inspirational story.
Right.
You were homeless at one point,
I was.
right? You were a drug addict,
Yes,
right?
sir.
You were
I was.
out there kind of battling, like you said, and kind of like take us through that. How did that happen? Because at that point, were you already in it? Had you already done prison time yet, or that the beginning of like the start of everything?
When I first came to Fresno,
Yeah.
no, but it did start in Fresno. But
Okay.
see, a lot of times we would come to Fresno back and forth from Southern California to Central California, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Because my mom's side of the family's from Fresno, so when things got bad for us there in Oxnard, we would come to live with my grandmother or
When you say things got bad, can you give us like a detail of what that means? Like,
yeah, just like really didn't have enough money to pay the rent.
okay.
Just my parents were runners also. They ran from the problem, so they didn't really have the maturity to handle certain situations. So their solution was to run. So they taught me that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure.
And so that happened a while, going back and forth, back and forth. But my addiction started not at an early age, but when I was kind of older, at the age of 21, matter of fact.
Okay.
Growing up there in Oxnard, I was into sports. I also took martial arts. I coached basketball also,
Okay.
and therefore the Boys and Girls Club. And so moving from there to Fresno at about the age of 21, I started drinking. I remember my cousin, He bought me a old what was it? Old D, a 40 of Old D.
Oh, okay.
I remember just downing it, brother Lou.
Yeah.
Tick, 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 tick. Man, see, because prior the homeboys to be like, "Hey, Danny, smoke this joint, drink this beer." I go, "No, I'm cool, man." Like I said, my thing was playing hoops. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
playing hoops, playing sports, and I had seen what it did to my mom, to my family. So I didn't really want to touch drugs. I didn't want to go there, brother Lou. But
Yeah.
came to Fresno, and I don't know maybe it was curiosity or whatever, but I did drink that 40, and from that time on, I was hooked.
Is it because of the way it made you feel?
Exactly, it made me feel. Remember, I said I was withdrawn, right? So
Yeah.
this made me feel sociable. I could talk, I could express myself. It numbed some of the memory, some of the pain. So I think all those factors contributed to my me being an alcoholic from the age of 21.
And then that all started from like basically childhood trauma, though.
Yeah, but what I didn't know, or what I learned later on, was that alcohol. I learned this from a drug counselor.
Okay.
He said alcohol opens up wounds. You know what I mean, like emotional wounds, or
Yeah.
it opens up memories from your past, so that you continue to drink and you continue to remember. Then you continue to kill the pain. It's all one big cycle, bro.
Yeah.
All one big cycle. And I didn't know that then. I didn't, but I know that now. So, and then I started, smoking weed, using crystal meth here and there. But my primary drug of choice was alcohol, for sure. From the age of 21 to about 36, 37, when I transitioned to using crystal meth here in Fresno. Then I started slamming it, and man,
I mean, and for those out there that don't know, slamming it was pretty much you were injecting it, right?
yeah,
The needle.
Intravenous drug usage, and that took it to a whole new level, Brother Lou. That crystal meth is there's a I don't know, see, drug usage, it comes from the word pharmakeia, where they get the word pharmacy,
Okay.
and it literally means sorcery. Now, sorcery and witchcraft are two different things, although they're similar. Sorcery, it denotes an evil intent, like when people, sorcery.
Yeah.
So even if when you use drugs, bro, you're kind of like a warlock or a witch, without you even knowing
realizing it.
Without you realizing it, you'll be able to see. There's a whole list of things that come upon you when you open that door to drugs and to alcohol. And I had to learn the hard way that I could not go there. So, see, I had known the Lord, Brother Lou, from
Yeah.
a young age. Like I said, my parents did take us to church, and that's where I experienced the presence of God from a young age. From about the age of 5 or 6, I knew there was a God because I felt His presence.
Really?
So, yeah, I did, bro, in a tangible way.
Can you explain that to us?
Yeah. So my parents would take us to church, and after the service, you go up to the altar, you pray. I remember as a little boy, bro, lifting my hands, and I felt the presence of God, bro. I felt it, so I knew He was real. Not only that, but listening to the preaching, and the Bible says that faith comes by the hearing of the word. So you know what I mean. Even though I was a little kid, I was still listening and taking all that in. So
Yeah.
my faith was growing without me knowing it, and it was upon that faith that I drew upon these dark times during my life. So yeah, bro, I just was going through it, and I saw drugs and alcohol as a solution. I saw it as an answer to my problems, and come to find out, it's really not a solution at all, bro. It's not.
Yeah. No. I mean, I wouldn't say I was necessarily an alcoholic, but I did struggle with, drinking alcohol. Obviously, in the field I came from, you see a lot of stuff, right? I feel like when we do have our conversations off camera and we talk, you being in prison and me kind of working for the prison system, right, in some type of way with the county jail,
Right.
it's, even though I'm not in there 24/7, had to sleep there. Like I told you, remember, I only had to experience maybe 10 to 15% of what you had experienced because you're in there 24/7, right? You're on guard all the time. So I could just imagine the nerves, the stress, what you have to go through as far as, because there's drugs and alcohol in prison and jail all day, right?
All day, every day.
And so when you would assume most people get sober, they don't. They're bad. You don't. What I want to say is you just never know what someone is going through. You never know what someone is battling,
Right.
right? And when you talk about prison, and I say this in the nicest way possible. I'm not trying to put you out like that. I'm saying when you talk about someone that's been to prison or is in prison or goes to prison quite frequently, or let's say jail,
Right.
compared to the same thing with an officer. When I say we have similarities, bro, is like we go through the same kind of problems. Like
Right.
I still have to deal with you if you get drunk or you get out of control. If you're acting out, remember I was telling you earlier, like if an inmate calls you out, bro, like there's not really much you can do besides stand your ground, but that can mess with you mentally too. Like most guys, I guess you can say, how do I want to put this? Like most SEALs are not really prepared for that. Like we go in there to do a job, but I think when we ask ourselves, like, why do you want to be a SEAL? Right? Why do you want to do this? Why do you want to do that? A lot of times we answer it based off of financial reasons. I don't think anybody says they want to voluntarily go and deal with gang members that have drug issues or drug problems and they want to assault you, right? I don't
Right.
think most men, most women are going to say, I want to volunteer for that. And it can mess your mentality up, your mental, and when they talk about mental health, especially with the drugs that are getting worse now, right? Today's era is even worse than it was,
Yeah.
because there's a documentary that they made about Fresno. It's called Fresno, the meth capital of the world.
Oh yeah, I seen that one. I
Yeah.
seen that one.
And when I see that, bro, remember this is me prior to. I think I was working young in my career when this thing came out, but I recognized a lot of people in that documentary because, I mean, I dealt with them inside and out the jail, for a long time.
Wow.
Even now, remember today on this little tour we're doing, remember I was like, hey, I recognize that guy.
Yeah.
I recognize that person. Hey, I know that person.
Yeah.
And I want to say, like, it's not that it's scary. It's just, it's really eye opening. Like when you are not, because I just thought they are who they are because I saw them every day. That's what I went to work on. I went to work and I saw these people.
Yeah.
And now that you see them outside of work, and now that I don't do this no more, remember, I'm a podcaster.
Right.
So when I see them now, I almost want to be like, give them a hug, bro. Show them love. Like, because I don't know. Maybe they're that young Danny that felt like the lack of the presence of someone's love, like, and maybe these people are struggling. And I think it's just the mindset changes, when you start getting into about the word, about God, right? Because God is love. And I don't know why I bantered off that way. I think I just wanted to kind of make an example of it, but I'll let you continue and go ahead and finish.
So growing up in my adolescent years, teenager years, and then during my early 20s is when, like I said, I got into drugs and just living out there in the streets, drinking with my homeboys out there in the streets, thinking I was having a good time. Nothing against anybody who drinks, right?
Yeah,
But
no, for sure.
in my case, I was an alcoholic and I took it to the fullest, you know what I mean? I took it to the fullest. I was, man, I was listening to oldies, you know what I mean? Just out there in them streets, acting kind of crazy. So as time went on, my addiction worsened. Like I said, it went from alcohol to crystal meth every now and again. And then I first hit the prison system at the age of 27. I got busted for, commercial burglary.
Okay.
I went into Macy's there in Clovis and stole about over $400 worth of clothing, making it a misdemeanor because you have to, there's a certain dollar amount that is distinguished from just a misdemeanor to a felony.
Isn't it like 450 or more? Or
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and it so happened to be that I hit the the felony mark. So the getaway car, we planned it all out, right? The getaway car parked in the back. Me and my cousin went in. We were gonna grab some clothes because in those days the Macy's had a bag where you could just shop with. I think it was a blue bag, pretty big, about this big. So I went in, he went in, we loaded up. What we didn't know was that there was security guards and guys, undercover police officers working there, and they saw the whole show rolling the camera. So we make our getaway plan. We go through the back. He hops in the getaway car. I make it outside also, but it was raining that day, so I slipped and I fell. And man, they were on me quick. They were on me like white on rice. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, really?
Yeah, bro. And I couldn't get up. And you know what, Brother Lou? I didn't want to get up because I was tired. I was tired. I really was.
At this point, the meth addiction was pretty bad at this point for you.
Yeah, but it was more still. I was still more in my alcohol addiction. At this point, I didn't really use crystal meth. It was probably about the age of 38 when I started really
Oh,
using it.
okay.
But as
But
far
the
as
alcohol was pretty bad at this point.
yeah, and so going into the prison system, I get busted. I had a prior felonies for commercial and residential burglary. So the judge, I go in to see the judge here in Fresno, and he says, he goes, you know what? Try to find a program. We're gonna let you go. I'm gonna give you a court date so you can reappear, and I want to see proof that you're getting into a program. So what happened was, you know, I'm still a knucklehead at this time. I go out and I start drinking again. Uh, Nearing my court date, I found myself at CAP. At CAP over there on Whitesbridge, the west side of Fresno, they used to have a detox center. And I was at this detox center and I was thinking to myself, man, all I have to do is call the courthouse and, let the judge know or let the people know that work there that I'm in a detox. Nah, that wasn't the case, dude. I got out of that detox. I went to go see a family member. They weren't home, so I tried to climb into the black window, and I was trying to push it open, right? And it busted. I guess one of the neighbors called the one time. Next thing you know, they're in the door. You know what I mean? They're asking me all kinds of questions. They call my grandma because I gave them a fake name, right? And they wanted to call my grandma to make sure that's my name, right? And of course, it wasn't. My grandma told them my right name. But anyway, she was doing the right thing, and so on that warrant, go back to court. I think I faced the same judge, and it's sentencing. So I thought he was going to give me another chance. Oh, dude, that was not the case. He goes, nope, 2 years, bam. He put that gavel down, boom. He goes, you went to prison. I go, oh, man. So the first prison I went to, bro, was Corcoran, the old Corcoran.
Okay.
And
well, you went to reception first, right?
yeah, you're right, Wasco reception. And then I hit Corcoran. So that was my first time there, bro. You know what I mean? I mean, I had been locked up before, but that was county jail.
Yeah.
This is a whole new ball game, bro.
Okay.
They ain't messing around right here. So
when you say a whole new ball game, can you kind of give us a little detail of what you mean? Like, what was the difference between the county jail and prison?
one of the main differences is the politics.
Okay.
You don't got the politics that you do there in prison, or in county jail that you do in prison.
I mean, once again, think of it like the audience does not know what that means. So try to break it down. Like when you say politics, can you give us a little more like explaining?
Okay, politics meaning mainly the racial segregation that you have to face as soon as you hit prison.
Okay.
When you walk through them doors with your little mattress and your little net bag with your socks and shirts and shoes and all that, the first thing that they're gonna ask when you hit that door, where are you from? You know what I mean? Even when you're on the yard, before you get to that door, they'll be like, where are you from? So, then you got to tell them where you're from, and then you go with that group. So going with that group automatically distinguishes you to function in a certain way where you got to know, like there's certain places you can't go, certain water faucets you can't use, certain phones you can't use, certain toilets you can't use, certain tables you can't sit at. You can't. They don't really allow you to really communicate too much with another race or deal with another race.
And that's what you mean when you say politics.
Yeah, that's part of what I mean. Yeah.
Yes, I just want everyone out there to understand.
Yeah, for sure. So the stakes were up, and I found myself in Corcoran at a relatively young age, 27. That was kind of late to hit the pin, but there I was, bro, and they just had to deal with it the way.
And you did that for 2 years?
Yeah, actually, I did like 13 months.
Okay.
Because it was 2 years with halftime.
Okay.
So I went from Corcoran to Avenal.
Okay.
And it was there in I think 2001 when I paroled from Avenal, and got out. Went to go live with my grandmother on Pleasant. There in the projects in Fresno. She was a Christian at this time, so I had to abide by certain rules. I had to go to church, which I wanted to anyway, right?
Yeah.
I was.
At this time, when you get out of prison, are you sober then?
Oh yeah, I was sober. I've never used drugs or alcohol in prison. Only one time in Corcoran, I did drink about a half tumbler of Pruno, and then I took a few drags on a cigarette. Gave me a headache, bro. So I said, forget this, man. You know what I mean? Not only that, I'm in here because of this. So why am I going to continue? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, addiction is real in prison. There's a lot of good brothers in there that just have addiction issues, but they have good hearts. You know what I mean? They really do. And so I get out, live with my grandma, do good for a little bit. Next thing you know, I don't know how much. Maybe it was a year later. Started drinking again, and I just can't break that addiction, bro, of alcohol. I like the way it made me feel still.
So okay, I was gonna say like
You know
so
what I'm
when
saying?
you got out, you did pretty good for a year, and then when was it you or was it being around people that were drinking that made you want to go back to it, or like what do you feel? Do you feel that you just weren't over it yet?
Yeah, it was me. I was
Okay.
not over it. I thought I was, but I wasn't.
Yeah.
So, I continued my drinking and still smoking a little bit of weed, still probably doing crystal meth every now and again. Not too often, but sometimes I would use it. And
Because you're on parole at this time, right?
oh yeah,
And so,
on
I
parole.
mean, so to ask you this question, I guess I have is it easy at this time to get a job, or is no one really trying to accept you because you're on parole, or is that another reason why you feel like you fell back into drinking, or were
Maybe
you working?
no. Yeah, I was working at times,
Okay.
but that might have been slightly the reason why.
And the reason I bring that up is because I don't know if you remember earlier when we talked at the restaurant, we were talking about like, well, how do these kids fall back into it, right? How do these people, when they get out of prison, what makes them go back? What makes them continue, right? And so I kind of wanted, I know I'm jumping that they don't know that we talked about this, but I know we did. So I wanted to bring that up is that, remember we were asking like, why do people continue to go back?
Right.
Why do people recycle in the system? What do you think? So that's why I want to say, do you think it's because when people are on parole or probation, is it hard for them to get jobs? So essentially, they remember we talked about giving up and going back.
Right.
And then what I want to say, the way I brought that up was I brought up scripture. I said that most times, right, when we are doing change, we think that we're comfortable in what we did, so we go back. And then I brought up Exodus.
Right.
I brought up the Israelites,
Yeah.
that they were in there and they continue to be like, well, they wanted to go back to slavery. They wanted to go back to Egypt because that's what they knew.
Yeah.
Right. And so I feel like, I mean, that's how most people are. Because I know I could tell you like this, brother.
Yeah.
When I went all in on this podcast and I don't see everything yet, I was going to go back to my jobs, like what I knew, what Louis Gonzalez knew, right? Because Louis Gonzalez knows he can make X amount of money if I do this job or this job or this job, right? But then the Lord put it on my heart to tell me, it's not for you to know. You don't supposed to know your future. Faith is not, oh well, it's gonna be this, so then yeah, you're gonna do it. Faith is literally taking a leap of faith, taking that step to not know what God has for me, but just know that God's gonna take care of me. So I know I'm tying that in because I wanted to really relate because I have a real person here to let people know, like when we're talking about, generational curses and, breaking cycles, right?
Right.
I want to really like make the people understand coming from an officer's perspective, because that's what I worked in that. And then you came kind of from that side.
Right.
I wanted to tie it in because at the end of the day, bro, we talk like we've been friends forever.
Right.
And that's because we have one thing in common, and that's the Lord.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right.
And at the end of the day, I feel like it shouldn't, mind you, I have a whole different mindset than I had when I was an officer. So I'm not going to speak for any officer that's active right now, because when you're in that place, you have to have a certain mindset for sure. I understand this. So I'm coming strictly as a podcaster that's not working in that job or that environment no more, right? I'm not around these newer type of inmates. Right. I know that right now, like I'll give the people a little insight is like there's fentanyl all day, bro. I think staff is dealing with a fentanyl overdose every day now. So it's kind of crazy. I could just imagine how the prison system is, right? So that's not easy to deal with, bro. That mindset could make you think a certain way. I truly believe it's not us versus them, but it is us versus them, or inmates versus officers, because of the fact that not all inmates are bad, right? We're all human beings, right? But when we're in our addiction at that moment, if you're taking fentanyl, bro, and you're going to OD, I can tell you that from officers that I've talked to right now that are currently in there, you know what inmates are telling them? You have to save me. You have to save me. So they don't even care, bro. They're ODing on purpose pretty much at this point.
Yeah.
To be an officer, I couldn't do that. That's crazy to say. I felt like when I would talk to people the way we talk now, that's why I used to talk to inmates. It was like a legit, hey, this or this, right? And if they're if that's the way the new model is going, all I can do is pray for everyone that's in there, bro. Inmates and officers included. But yeah, no, I just wanted to throw that out there real quick. I just know there's a lot of stuff I want to talk about too, but I just, I
Yeah.
want you to explain because I have you here. But what do you think about that?
Um, there, like you said, there's drugs in prison. You can get any drug in prison that you want, any type of drug. Uh, and I think that also contributes to the recidivism rate, which is at about 39.1% for inmates that are incarcerated here in the state of California. Some of these dudes, when they get parole, they're hooked, bro. They're addicted to fentanyl. They're addicted to ketamine. They're addicted to heroin, crystal meth, just all these things. So they're hitting that gate in a bad state of mind.
Oh yeah.
And so they're giving $200 gate money. I think now they don't give you, they give you like a debit card. It's not cash no more.
Oh, so when you got out, they gave you $200 cash.
Yeah, but
Okay.
then in this last stint I did, they gave me a debit. So I don't think they're giving cash anymore. But
And it's $200 on this
yeah,
card.
it's 200. So nonetheless, here I am, an addict, coming out of prison. Not I wasn't an addict, but I'm saying
No, yeah, I understand what you're saying.
a person coming out of prison already addicted, bro, giving $200. What do you think he's gonna do? Especially he's going back to his old neighborhood, old environment, hanging around the same friends. He doesn't have a chance, bro. He doesn't have a chance, and so
What do you think has to change? Like, what do you think that we have to do to make that better for these people that are getting out? Like, basically being in it, right? Because
right.
you were in the midst of it, bro. Like, being on bond, talking to me about the people you've met,
Right.
and then the way they are. Like, what do you think we have to do to change as in general? I don't want to say it's necessarily on CDCR corrections or the jail or this person or that
Right.
person or this prison, but what do you think we have to do overall to fix the problem? What do you suggest?
I think outreach is necessary. Counseling is for sure necessary. One-on-one counseling. When you're in prison, they have all these programs, bro. AA, NA, anger management, this, and that you can participate in. But sometimes, I'm not saying this is not effective. It is. But sometimes a man can't open up in prison because
That's so true.
He's so protected. Going in there, he's not gonna spill all his beans on all these inmates listening. It has to be, bro, a one-on, like how we're doing now, a one-on-one, bro. That person, you gotta tell your story. You gotta say how you grew up. What happened to you, so that you can understand why you do what you do and why you think the way you think. And then I think a lot of these programs work out here that are for
Reform and all that.
reform, yeah. But I think, Brother Lou, to answer your question, is that counseling for sure plays a major role in the recovery of somebody coming out of addiction. Because remember, it's not the addiction, it's what's behind the addiction. Why do you use?
Yeah.
In rehab, they teach us that drugs and alcohol is just a secondary form of a greater issue, a greater malady that's going on inside. That shame, maybe that guilt, that has not been dealt with. And it can be dealt with through Christ, through the cross, through the blood of Jesus. We can receive forgiveness for our sins. The Bible says there is therefore now no condemnation with those who walk with the Lord. Not that we're going to be perfect, but the Lord can break those strongholds. He can break those generational curses you're talking about. Some people don't even know they're functioning under a curse, but they're cursed. Why? Because their life shows it. It's one big cycle, bro. Addiction, crime, incarceration. And also, I think a person has to be sick and tired of being sick and tired. I think that's very important, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To where they come to the end of themselves and say, you know what, Lord, help me. I'm in chains here. I'm in bondage. I'm depressed. I'm suicidal. I hear voices. I see things. Whatever it may be, bro. It's a spiritual battle. That a spiritual battle cannot be fought with physical weapons. It must be dealt with in spiritual terms. And that's where the Lord comes in. The Lord defeated Satan. He defeated all that. It don't matter what you're involved in, witchcraft, uh, all these things they got going on now. So
Yeah,
that
no.
that power can be broken over your mind, over your heart, over your body, and over your soul. It can, you know.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think for me it's hard because when people talk about, like, I mean, and I'll say, I don't want to give names specifically, but people, like, when they come at me, or not me specifically, but I see them coming at other people on the internet or saying something about, oh, well, where's your God? You know, all you Christians, this and that, and you know, I couldn't tell you why bad things happen in the world. You know,
Right.
I can tell you that I know that God is real. You know, because I've never like come across the Lord as far as like physically talk to the Lord, but the Lord has shown me He's real. Because I'll tell a little story. I pretty much met someone that's like a prophet, bro, and he came to my house one day. He was selling Vivint, you know, the security company for the
I
like.
think so. Yeah.
And so when he comes to my house, bro, and I'll say it now because I tell people, like, I thought I was gonna be work. I thought I was gonna go into a field where like I had to really watch what I say. But now that I know I'm gonna be a podcaster, bro, like I told you before, I'm gonna be 100% open with everybody, right?
Right.
And so I used to love to smoke weed, right? And I loved it, bro. And I was outside and I was smoking. I had just celebrated something. It was something that was for the podcast. I was like really excited, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to mind my business, bro, just right here doing my thing. And this gentleman comes up and he's like, hey, man, there's a homeowner here. I'm just like, nah, man. He's like, oh, do you know when he'll be back? I'm like, I don't know. He's like, are you sure you're not the homeowner? And I'm just like, no, right? And then he comes back one more time about another question. And he's like, bro, are you sure you're not the homeowner? And I was like, so I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to show this kid how to sell, like do sales, right? Because, you know, I worked at Good Guys Tire and Auto as a manager. I've always been a good talker.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking, like, let me show this kid how to sell. And let me see if he could even sell me something. So I was going to ask him some bunch of questions about Vivin and, you know, see if he knew about his company.
Yeah.
And so little did I know, bro, this gentleman gave me, you know, it's like right when I told him, yeah, I was a homeowner, he sat down. It's like he turned into a prophet. Like it's like his whole demeanor changed.
Wow.
And it was for the good, right? So
Right.
he's like, what's your name? And I'm like, Louis. And so he's like, your name is Louis? And I'm like, yeah. And so he's like, man, God is so good and merciful. And then he starts saying, you know, about a month ago, my father passed. And I was like, oh man, I'm sorry to hear that.
Right.
He goes, you know what his name was? And I was like, no, I don't. He's like, his name was Louis. Mind you, this guy is from UCLA, bro. He's a UCLA student, comes to Fresno, somehow ends up in Faribault,
Man.
ends up at my house specifically,
Right.
tells me that. Then he tells me what he tells me next. And bro, I broke down and I started crying because I was like, God just answered me, bro. He just gave me confirmation, you know?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. I know God is real. So it's hard for me, though, to explain, like, when someone comes at me with boom, 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 boom. All I can do is, like I told you, I got to get more in my word,
Right.
understand. But like you said, bro, the way, the truth for everything is the Lord, Jesus Christ. Like, I feel like He truly, genuinely changed my heart. Like, I care for everyone, bro. Like, I have no hate in my heart for nobody.
Right.
I can get punched in my mouth, right? And I could sit there and tell the person I still have love for you, because it says, right, if someone hits you, turn the other cheek.
Right.
Now, that doesn't mean you have to be weak and you're just gonna get beat up or you're not gonna defend your family, right? But I believe that if you truly move with love, like the Lord is, bro, like, people will eventually see. You can't fake something. Like what this is happening right now, this podcast, all the stuff that the Lord is doing for me,
Yeah.
it's not fake, bro.
Right.
It's real.
Right.
You know, your story, it's real. And I'll say this, I told him this today at lunch, right? And I want to just let everyone out there know. And when you're like, well, I need to go back and get this certificate to be, you know, certified and legit to teach these people. And I go, Danny, you're already legit, because the best counselors or the best people to help people are people that have been through it, brother.
Mm.
Like, I've never been homeless and I never had an addiction to drugs, but bro, I had a bad gambling addiction. So when I can sit there and tell you about addiction, I may not be able to tell you what drugs do to your body physically, because it really does mess you up.
Wow.
But bro, having a gambling addiction with the stress and everything else, you're just as bad. You know, I had no control.
Yeah.
I had to give it all to the Lord. But back to my smoking, right? As of recent, I could tell you guys this right now. the Lord put it on my heart that when I would smoke, you have gluttony, bro. Like you want to eat everything.
Right.
And so I had a bad case of food poisoning 4 days. And while those days where I was throwing up, I couldn't even drink water. If I drank water, bro, it just came right out. It was bad.
Wow.
And I'm in prayer and I'm telling the Lord, like, Lord, is that your phone?
Yeah, but it's
You're good. I was like, Lord, I understand this has to happen, but I'm trying to like tell him, like, you know, why is this happening right now? Like I've been, and you know, like I felt in my spirit, he was like, well, when you smoke, you eat everything. How do you know what caused your food poisoning? You know, gluttony is like one of the worst things in the Bible. It says that we have, right? So that gave me confirmation that I can't smoke. And it's nothing against anybody else. Like you may be able to smoke and you may be fine. You may not eat everything, right? Just like someone else may be able to drink. They're not necessarily a drunkard, right? And I feel like that's why I don't judge no one, bro. Everybody has their own story. Everybody has their own path. The Lord has everything for them, right? And I just feel like if we can continue just to give it to God genuinely, be obedient to him, and in time, bro, he will show you. I feel like I'm going to be a walking testimony for it soon. Because the stuff that's happening to me in the podcast and everything, it's hard to explain. You can't explain it but God, right? And same thing with you, brother. Like the stuff you had to go through, the stuff you had to battle, where you're at today, like what did I tell you today? Like we're blessed. We're super blessed. We don't understand the protection that the Lord does for us. And what I explained to you when we were driving, remember? I was like, you die, most people die in a car. They don't understand. When we get in the car every day, everyone just drives to work like it's nothing, bro. They don't understand the protection that the Lord does for us when we're driving, right? And I gave an example, like I was so bad in my addiction, brother. Like I never used to take my family out. I never did trips, you know? We never did anything. I did everything through like my family, but never like me. I never was the head of my household and said, okay, hey, we're going to go do this. We're going to go do that. And I ended up on I was telling you, on that pier in Pismo.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm overlooking the seas, bro. And I'm thinking like, if this thing were to break right now, like we'd all be, you know, in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
And I just thought in my head, like, man, Lord, you're so good. You're so merciful. Like you are, like all the protection you give us, you know? And we don't see it because I think we just assume that it's supposed to be there for us, you know? And it's not. Remember, when God takes his hand off of our life, that's like the worst thing that could happen because he gives you, I'm telling you guys right now, I have, and I mean this in the most sincere way possible. I have no money. I have a plan, right? But I have no money. There's nothing coming in yet. And am I questioning? I question all the time, but I don't question the Lord no more because the Lord told me it's not for you to know. It's for you to have the faith that it's going to happen. And that's all I do, brother. You know, and it takes time though. It's not something that's going to happen overnight, right? Because your story, this has been an ongoing thing because I don't want to put you out there like that, but you've been doing this since you're 48 now.
Yeah.
So you've been doing this for 27 years, right? This is a 27-year process that you had to turn into the man you are today, right? And it's not overnight. I mean, I met you the first time at that fellowship. I mean, even from that day to now, bro, I see a difference in you. You know, and it's like we have to constantly, because we never know what we're going through, right? You have to constantly go to God. And I think it's always good to like check in on your brother or your sister. Hey, how are you doing? Right? And you saw me today, like I was talking to everybody and like I try to genuinely tell people when they're nice, bro, like when someone does good customer service now, especially working in the field that I came from customer service for almost a year and a half, I tell them like, hey, you do an amazing job. Like, I don't know what you got planned, but I'm just letting you know, like, thank you for making my day. And bro, like they get so pumped up and that makes me feel good, you know, like uplifting people. And I could tell you this right now, like whatever we're going to do together and however we're going to help these kids, these youth, you know, because the thing about me is I want to help everybody, bro. I don't want to just help, you know, this person or this type of group. Like I want to help everybody, bro. And I mean, like, if you're a gang member, you're still a child of God. Maybe we don't know why you are that or what caused you to do this, right? Doesn't mean necessarily you're a bad person, you know? I can't sit, the beauty of, I guess you could say, I never got put in that position, you know? I grew up in a small town where, there's some gangs, but my neighborhood wasn't a gang neighborhood, You know,
Right.
this neighborhood I live in right now is not a gang neighborhood.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to sit here and act like put a front up like, yeah, I was blessed to work in a unit that had, I worked around gang members, but all I got to do was know them. And you're right. A lot of times, brother, no one talked to me when it was in a group. It was always one-on-one,
Yeah.
you know? And then they would literally break. I would find out exactly who this person was. And then they wonder why, like, oh, like I had a really good connection to inmates in there
Yeah.
because I took the time to know, okay, who's Danny Lucero? Because I'm going to deal with you, bro. If you're a problem, like, you don't want to just get rid of your problem. You want to try to help the best you can.
Right.
Right. And I think that tries to take a little bit of time to say, hey, who are you?
Right.
You know, tell me who you are. Why are you here right now? You know, because, bro, there's so much talent out there that the people bring. And I'm talking women and men.
Right.
Bro, you saw today that drawing?
Oh yeah.
That was from an inmate.
Oh yeah.
Bro, that was
Very nice.
that was a nice drawing, right?
Yeah.
That was a beautiful drawing.
Yeah.
And the talent is there. What I'm trying to say is like, it's just how are you going to utilize it, right?
Right.
And I think that, like, tell us a little bit too, like, of what you want to do, like, as far as like with Bond Street. Explain to me, like, you know, or explain to us what you want to do as far as helping those people out there, because you said there's a lot of
There's a lot of need there. Well, you know, like I said, I lived on Bond Street for about a year. While living there, I met some people, you know, some nice people, made some connections. I still keep in contact with about 3 people that live there. You know, I got their phone numbers, and every now and again we'll talk and speak. But also, what I saw there was that there's some youth there also, you know, Bond Street Bulldogs. And you know, I would like to. I had a little Bible study when I lived there, little outreach, give away food, read the Word. Even my neighbors participated. You know, they would help me out in that. One of them passed away. Matter of fact, he lived up top from me, and sometimes I would just leave him there, and he would run the outreach, read the Word.
R.I.P. to him.
Yeah, rest in peace, Thomas. But you know, there's a lot of need there. An outreach program would probably be ideal in helping them to find an alternative as far as some choices that they've made and some lifestyles that they might be involved in. So intervention, outreach, mentorship, I think all those are important, especially for the youth, you know what I mean? Because that's all they're looking for. They're looking for direction.
Yeah.
They're looking for leadership, and they're looking for answers, solutions, you know, and for opportunities. And yeah, I think sometime in the future it'd be nice if we can go down there.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think, like I said, everything's in God's timing. I'm gonna say it because I bring it up in every podcast so far, except one was with Mayor Freddie Valdez. I forgot, but Isaiah 60:22, my favorite Bible verse. When the time is right, I, the Lord, will make it happen.
Yeah,
Right?
I like that verse.
And I think that I live by that, bro, every day, because it's not my timing, bro. It's about when the Lord says, "Hey, we're gonna do this." I just hope that when the Lord calls me, I'm ready. Right? When He tells me, "Hey, all right, we're gonna move now. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. We're gonna do this."
Right.
I can generally tell you, like, bro, regardless of how big this thing gets, how much money I ever, you know, because influencing, there's a lot of money in it, bro.
Right.
And if I ever did get a lot, I'm telling you right now, like, I want to make sure I give back. I want to make sure I give back to the youth. I want to make sure I give back to those families. That the beauty of my story is, I'm going to tell you right now, like I said, God uses everybody, bro.
Right.
If you generally want to be used and you tell the Lord, He will use you. Yeah. I'm nobody special. I grew up upper middle class or middle class, right? I never had issues with money. I never had issues with this. I always had the nicest things. My family always provided for me.
Yeah.
You know, and if anything, I was spoiled, bro. You know, people that probably like, oh yeah, for sure, you know, because I was, you know, my grandparents and my parents, you know, specifically my father, like they gave me everything I ever asked for. Yeah, honestly, anything I ever asked for. Man. Like but they also created a monster, because when I got told no, or when I got rejected, it was like, what is this? You know, I'm not used to this. I'm used to getting what I want.
Right.
Right. And I felt like I had to learn the hard way. Right. And now that I'm what the Lord is doing for me is I've been able to go through, because when you're in your addiction, right, just like drugs, just like anything else, bro, my family got tired of me asking for them for money.
Right.
It's like after a while, it's like, bro, you know, my poor parents, my poor grandparents, like my everybody, like they're just going to work, doing everything they can, busting their butts, busting their chops, and I'm just over here taking the money and just basically all I was doing, bro, was this: getting the money and just throwing it away.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Man.
You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
I literally thought it was paper. And now that I look at it, like, there's just no way, bro. And when I'm telling you, when the time is right, I'm gonna make sure that I make things right for everybody. Because I look at it like, even if you're a middle class family, even if you have money, we don't know your struggles. We don't know your battles.
Yeah.
So if you showed up for help, like, and people may say, hey, you don't need help. You have a good paying job. Well, they don't know that person may be $300,000 in debt,
Right.
and they can't afford to get their kids a backpack
Yeah.
or a coat. We don't know.
Yeah.
Only God knows. Because what did you say? Most people are not going to open up
Right.
because it's embarrassing. It's hard to come in here and tell people like, hey, I have a gambling problem. Hey, I'm a narcissist.
Right.
Hey, I'm this. I'm a cheater. I don't deserve anything I have, brother. It's through God's grace, because I'm no one, literally, bro. And I'll make sure that I continue to know that I am nobody. But I mean, like, I am a somebody, but I mean, I'm a nobody when it comes to, like, I'm just blessed because the Lord's blessing me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because he came in, I asked him, like you said, we get to that point where, like, Lord, help me.
Yeah.
Come and save me. Because I could tell you, like, without getting too heavy, too deep, I know I'm, because you do that to me, Danny. Like, we'll talk and I'll be like, boom, 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 I'll start going. So
Right.
if you need to be like, hey, you tell me, hey, Louis, it's my turn. This is my podcast, right?
No, I'm listening.
No, but it was just like, it took a lot, bro. Like, it really did. Like, it got to the point where, like, I wanted to call it quits. I wanted to say no more. That's it. I'm done. Can't do it. Because I felt like a failure. Felt like I was a bad father, a bad person, this, right? And so I finally told the Lord one day, Lord, if you're real, come in, help me.
Right.
And that was over 3 years ago.
Wow.
So remember, timing is never when we think, brother. It's always when the Lord says. Yeah. So that's why I want to let people know out there, like, that's one thing that I really want to say, because we talk about that all the time, and I know I'm talking about that's going to be hard to jump into the next subject, but I really know that you wanted to talk about it very, very badly. But you kind of, like, on California, you're first, right? You're the first of a certain prop.
Right.
Right. And why don't you talk about, I know you really wanted to talk about it. So I want to kind of tie it in. Prop 47, right? Or was it?
Prop 57.
Prop 57. Yeah. So go ahead and explain to us, I know you wanted to talk about it. So.
Okay. So this last time I did in prison, got sentenced to 11 years with 85%, which comes up to about roughly 9 years or so, some change. When I actually took my case to trial, and I lost. So naturally, I wanted to appeal, and I did appeal. That in itself is a lengthy process. I was in where was I? I think I was in Solano when the paperwork came back that you got denied. There's no appeal happening. So at that point, but Brother Lou, I knew I wasn't going to serve all that time. Even when the judge ordered the sentence, something in my heart said, you're not going to serve all that time. So that's why I appealed. I thought I was going to get out through an appeal, but like you said, not in our timing, God's timing. So little did I know that, so I was about maybe close to 4 years into my sentence. At this time, I had already served about 5 years counting county time. So I was in Stockton, in cell by myself. And when you're in prison, you're assigned a CC1 or CC2 counselor, and they mediate for you as far as any litigation, any type of anything you will need to know concerning your case. So one day I was just kicking back in my cell, man, and all of a sudden a CC1 counselor throws some paperwork into my door. I go, "What's this?" She goes, "You're going home early." I go, "Wow." So I read the form and it said, "We, the prison board of the state of California, have under the Prop 57 non-violence second striker law, ordered Danny Lucero to be released. He doesn't pose any real threat to society. There was not any violence, even though I got busted for 2 assaults with deadly weapons. Nobody got hurt. I didn't get hurt. There was no actual violence involved. So based on those two things, I was actually released. Let me see. Uh, when that CC1 counselor slid that paperwork into my door, it was about June of 2017. The Prop 57 law got passed in November of 2016. So it took about 8 or 9 months to go on through. But yeah, so I was released actually June, July, August, September, maybe about 2.5 months after receiving that paperwork. I was released September the 10th, 2017. And yeah, I didn't, thanks be to God, and I didn't catch a new beef. I didn't violate my terms of
But
parole.
specifically, you were the first
I was,
inmate in Fresno County to get Prop 57, right? Released.
I was the
You said that there were some articles or.
Yeah, I was the first person to be released under that Prop 57 law in Fresno County. And so naturally, there were people against that law.
Yeah.
Some people out there, nah, let him serve all his time. He don't deserve to get out early. This, and that, right?
Yeah.
So right around the time I was going to get out, some couple months prior, one of the COs comes to me and goes, "Man, you were on TV." I go, "I was?" He goes, "Yeah." And
This is why you were in Stockton?
yeah, and
Okay.
I didn't know what he was talking about because I didn't. I knew I'd been released on the Prop 57, but I didn't know they were making such a big deal out of it. So some articles were written about this Prop 57, and they mentioned my name. The Fresno Bee had my little picture, and they said this and that. The San Diego Tribune, the San Francisco Chronicle, a LA County Sheriff wrote an article on me that they didn't agree. Most of these articles were probably against Prop 57. I reached out to one, the person that wrote the Fresno Bee article, saying that, you know, what I was doing since my release, I was doing good, and they never answered back. But
Well, it's a good time now on Inside the Pablo Lou, bro. They'll
yeah,
see this and.
so if you're out there, let's do a second article that doesn't speak about the negative, but how someone, when they're given another chance, a second chance, even a third, fourth, and fifth chance, Brother Lou, I've received so many chances from the Lord. I'm not a perfect man, bro. I make mistakes.
None of us
still.
are.
But he broke those chains. That's what I'm talking about. The message of the gospel, that there was a heaviness in my soul. There was a weight that I felt, and that has been lifted, bro. And
Amen.
till this day, thanks be to God, it's been lifted. And I'm not trying to judge anybody that, you know, is still caught up in their addiction. Who am I to judge? But, you know, I'm just giving my testimony and sharing what the Lord did for me, you know.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And so this Prop 57 law gained some attention, and I knew that coming out that they're probably going to be looking at me, watching me, seeing if I messed up, or I know that if I caught a new beat, man, they'd be look, man, it didn't work, this and that. But no, bro, I discharged my number, and you know, I've been doing outreach work. I attended Fresno City College for drug and alcohol certification. I'm a postgraduate for the School of Ministry Institute in Rialto, California. I'll be graduating this April. And I have some other things lined up, you know, that
There you go.
I got to just keep on grinding, bro.
For sure.
I was diagnosed with a certain sickness. I'll just go ahead and say it, you know.
Yeah.
It's called CCL, actually CLL, chronic lymphomic leukemia, about in December of last year. So, you know, but I just got to keep on grinding, bro. I got to keep on pushing. And I have a friend out there. She knows who she is. She's been helping me go to the gym, and we've been taking walks. So that's helping me to get strengthened to fight this thing, you know what I mean? And I know God's on my side, and my family's been supportive also. And, you know, we're just going to, I'm trusting God for a healing, for deliverance in that. Because once I am, I'm gonna go full force, bro. You know?
Amen. I mean, pretty sure out there that the people that have become kind of like loyal listeners to our podcast, um, we'll all keep you in prayer.
Right.
We'll make sure that all we can do is pray for you. And like you said, whatever God has, I like to live off the saying that, God is gonna finish what He started. Right? He's not gonna forsake us, because He's not gonna bring us so far to not let us finish, or let us finish His will to give Him the glory. Right? And I believe that's gonna happen with you, brother Danny. Like, all odds probably were stacked up against you, right? Everyone was giving those articles and giving their opinions.
Yeah.
And the beauty that I tell people like this is, it's not religion, brother. It's relationship. You know how many people probably, you know how much odds are stacked against this podcast, me, general people in life out there right now. And it's like, if we don't believe in ourselves, right, then believe in the Lord. Right. And then from there, He'll give you that confidence to believe in yourself.
Yes, sir.
Because
Yeah.
it has to be self-love first, bro, before we can love others. Right. You have to learn to accept yourself. And it sounds like you have. And you look, even though you are, going through your chemo probably, and your stuff, right?
Yeah.
You look good, brother.
Yeah.
You look healthy. You talk well, right? And I'm just so happy that you were able to. And it's not even about proving the doubters wrong. It's about proving yourself right. Right. And then about you just kind of like sticking it out, bro. And if you continue to have that and continue to have the Lord, I know He's going to do great things with you, brother, for sure. 100%. And I just know that you always have a fan right here and inside the Power Lou. Yeah. And that's what I want people to understand, is like, we literally met in the church.
Yeah.
Right.
We did.
I would have never, I'm telling you right now, bro, like the way I had the mindset as an officer, we would have never talked, just because of the way I was trained, the way I thought. And I don't blame any of my brothers and sisters that are in law enforcement that think that way, because at the end of the day, one, the Bible says do not trust man, right? But it's hard to trust in law enforcement because there's just so much that can go wrong at any moment, right? But I think, like, once again, I want people to see that you know me, I tell you this all the time, I back law enforcement, bro. I'm always going to back, an officer or a first responder, always, just because of the fact that I did it for almost 11 years.
Right.
But it's the fact that this can be possible.
Right.
Relationships can change when it comes to the Lord, because we move with love. You think differently, right? And I can tell you that I just hope that people, when they see this podcast, they know that. Because how much prison time overall did you feel like you did?
Altogether, it was about a little more than 7 years.
7 years, right? So, like, I mean, you're sophisticated, as far as, you've been around. You know what time it is, right? I could have easily taken your if I thought, like, if I put my officer brain on and I turned that light on, I could have easily thought, no, this person's manipulating me, But I could tell you right now, bro, I opened up, thought like the Lord, and I didn't feel any bad vibes, as far as like the way our alignment was all about God.
Right.
Our relationship, our conversations, right, are all about the Lord.
Right.
And then when I hear you speak about these outreach and these children and these youth, Bond Street, over here, and I only say Bond Street because you brought up Bond Street, but
Right.
not just Bond, everybody in Fresno that you want to help.
Yeah.
Dude, bro, you inspired me. And I was like, that's what I need to do as far as assist. And I don't want any credit. Like I told you, I'm not gonna, when we do get, because I'm gonna manifest it right here on, when we do get big and things do happen, I'm not gonna go out there with a camera, bro, and then post, oh, look what we did. I don't want no credit. Give all the credit to the Lord. Right. But I'm telling you right now, I do want to definitely help. And I want to hear the stories, bro. I want to hear the people out there that I do interact with down the road. Yeah. I really want to know, like, what's going on with you? Like, who are you? Right? Because at the end of the day, we're all God's children, bro.
Right.
But the thing I think that people don't understand, and I want to touch on it one more time now, because we're making good time, by the way. Yeah. And I think I talked a little bit too much, but I haven't podcasted in a while, bro. I was really excited, and then just talking, right? And this is where I feel at home, bro. This is what I wanted. This is what I love to do, bro. And I'm blessed to say, hey, I can do this now, right? But I want to be able to say, we talked about like spiritual warfare, right? A little bit. And I think people don't understand how strong that is, bro. Like, people can go, well, I think what I want to touch on one more time, I want to piggyback off of it, is like, when people are coming out of prison, right? they're coming out already like strung out. So you're probably going to go back into society and be just as bad as you were.
Right.
You know? And I guess I want to say, I guess I'll ask a question is, you know, kind of being in the system for 7 years, when you say that you can get access to anything,
right?
Is it because, and forgive me, but is it because there's a lot of bad staff? Is it because staff is bringing it in, or how are people getting that? Is it
Uh,
is it variety of?
it's a variety of ways. Like you said, there are staff does bring it in
Yeah.
also, or you know, maybe a family member, or you know, through the visiting room. Not trying to give anything up, but
No. I mean, the reason I ask is because, like I say, there's obviously a problem, right? And we obviously are not. I mean, we know there. It's like, it's almost like we know there's a problem, but not saying that we're not doing anything to fix it. Because when I worked in it, bro, we tried.
Yeah.
We tried to stop it. We tried to, you know, do the best that we could to handle what we could.
Yeah.
But it was just. But like I said, that's because there's probably like, once again, people get, you know, I don't want to say, how do they say, they get worked over, right?
Right.
There's a lot of manipulation in there.
Right.
You know, people are masterminds, bro. Like,
yes.
when you think, cause I'll tell you right now, when you first get hired into like the corrections, there's a video of a CO, and he gets manipulated by an inmate, and we show that to every new CO.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
oh,
and because we want them to understand, like, that's real. What you think is a friendly conversation could be fraternization.
Right.
You know, and I'm not gonna sit here and say like, oh, I didn't talk to, bro. I worked in Fresno County Jail. I grew up in Fresno County. Yeah. So, did I see a lot of people I probably grew up with? Yeah, you know. And but the thing is, I never attempted to talk personal in there. Like, if it was always business, and I never brought up like my family really. Like, no one knew I had a wife. No one knew I had kids. You know, I always kept it like professional. I never denied where I was from,
right?
Because I couldn't, you know. If I went to school with, say, these two cats over here, and I told them, oh, I grew up here. No, you didn't, bro. You know, I went to school with you, and that's gonna be, you know.
Yeah.
But it's I don't think people quite understand, you know, that being in that environment, how it can be, like, it could like suck you in, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Another thing I want to touch upon real quick
yeah.
is that you kind of touched upon mental health and the frame of mind that some prisoners coming out of prison, a lot of prisoners, bro, especially those that are spent many years in the SHU and spent many years in isolation, in confinement, they develop what is known as PTSD, and also know that some COs develop PTSD from their line of work. So you know what, mental health is also, I think, goes hand in hand with addiction. There's a lot of similarities. There's a lot of causes and effects when it comes to that. So like me, I have PTSD. You know what I mean?
When you say you have PTSD, can you give us like an example of what you say PTSD is? Like, from being in prison?
Yeah, from being in prison, just from other life's experiences that cause me to sometimes not trust. You know what I mean? Or I might see a situation and it might not really be that way. Things of that nature. But I've been seeing a psychologist for the past 14 years straight. So I've worked on some issues. I've had to take a look at some things, and I've overcame some things I'm still struggling with. But at the end of the day, Brother Lou, you know what I mean? And, you know, the Lord is good. He really is. So he gives us that grace, and he gives us that hope to have a future. Jeremiah 29:11.
Yeah, one of my favorite scriptures.
I know the plans I have for you, plans not to harm you, but to prosper you, to give you a future and a hope. A lot of these people, they don't have hope, bro.
Yeah.
Remember we were driving, taking that tour, and we seen somebody on the street, literally laying down on the street in this heat, bro. They giving up hope, you know, and but there is hope. There is hope.
Yeah, no, we did. You know, we did see that. I feel like Fresno has a lot of homelessness.
Yeah.
You know, and it's getting worse.
Yeah.
Because I think, well, when they call you the meth capital of the world,
wow,
right? That's That's the world, bro. Like United States, you know. Well, the United States is United States, but I mean,
Yeah.
it said meth capital of the world. That was what the documentary said, right?
Oh
So
yeah. I see.
that's like, but I know for sure United States, we're like, I mean, if we're the world, we're number one. I mean, that's kind of wild to even think that it's right there. You know, you
Wow.
live in Clovis, but it's right. You're right there in the area, you know, and I don't even think it's meth anymore, bro. I think it's fentanyl. I think fentanyl has really taken over.
Yeah.
It's sad. Like I told you, I can tell you what I've heard, you know, other COs kind of tell me that an inmate told him, like, you have to bring me back. It's your job to bring me back.
It's a cry for help right there.
You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so what do we do with that inmate? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do we fix that? And I think that the first step is, like you said, maybe one-on-one counseling more
Yeah.
rather than a group. I think that when we put the groups out there, it's good because someone's talking, someone's giving you something, but what are you really comprehending? What are you really getting out? Because when you're with your boys, let's just say we're all gang members right here.
Right.
We're gonna play it off, bro. We're gonna be tough. We're gonna act like we don't, you know, we don't need nobody. We don't need nothing.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you from experience, when you get one-on-one with them, completely different. You know, a lot of times it's something that's going on at home. You know, marriage issues or financial issues. You know, kids, whatever. Right? It could be anything. Everyday life.
Right.
And then when I would talk to the inmate, I would be like, well, why didn't you just pull me aside? You know, why didn't you just tell me this instead of being an ASS to all the staff?
Yeah.
You know, I don't understand. And I think when that one-on-one comes, you know, because I used to be unique, bro. I tell myself I'm a unique Christian. I'm a unique this. I was a unique CO, you know.
Right.
I used to do things differently. You know, one of the examples I gave was I used to roll up an inmate stuff, right, and act like I was going to move him, right? Make him think the whole time that he's going to go to the whole this, that, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
I never made a phone call to nobody.
Yeah.
You know, I thought in my head, okay, what am I going to do to get this guy to listen? Because sometimes I'm going to be honest, there's no options, bro. Especially in the county jail. Like I was a classification officer for 5 years. I know the housing is tight.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying that they're not going to make it work. Classification definitely won't make it work. But instead of making my brothers and sisters in there work all night, right? I'm going to try to help. Forgive me. I'm using you as an example here, right? If Danny Lucero's acting up, well, guess what I'm going to do, bro? I'm going to attempt my best to see, can I help Danny Lucero?
Right.
Because the one thing about it being a CO is when an inmate don't give zero, you know, then it's bad.
Yeah.
Because that means that guy, it's hard to control someone that don't care.
It's all bad.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah.
So when you look at an inmate, right? In my experience, not saying this is for everybody, not saying staff, in my experience, bro, the number one thing is going to be your visits, right? Because it's your family, right? Second thing is most times it's going to be your commissary because your food, right? Third time, most of it is going to be like your hot water, your hot pot, right? To cook your food, to have your coffee.
Yeah.
And then the fourth is usually going to be your TV, right? The beauty of all that, bro, is you could take all that away. Once you start becoming an officer, you need to know how to utilize these things now. Because if the inmate doesn't care about the rules per se, you're going to know 100%, 100%. They're going to care about seeing their wife and their kids.
Yeah.
They're going to care about seeing whatever, their family, right? They're going to care about eating because you have to eat, right?
Yeah.
The jail food's not going to sustain you, bro. I've seen it. So I would come out and try to explain and try to rationalize with them. Do you want me to lock you down, bro, and take all these things from you? Because I will, 100%, right? And if I try to do that one-on-one, most times it worked. If it didn't, then now I have to do what I said. Now I have to take it away.
Yeah.
But then that person could get worse. You know, so I would always take my time when I did that one-on-one, bro. I made sure I gave you enough time to talk to me to make sure, are we good? Are we sure we're good?
Right.
Because if I put you back and we're not good, it's going to be bad.
Right.
You know? And I think a lot of times, and once again, I could sit here all day and talk about, but I'm saying a lot of times has to be about, like, you look at charges, right? The beauty of the county jail compared to prison is they still have something to lose. You know? They're still technically fighting their case.
Yeah.
Right? So you're not going to go to court trying to get off on something, and then you just assaulted staff.
Right.
It's pretty hard. I'm not saying it's not going to happen, because there's that. If you're under the influence of something, you may not have known, right?
Right.
But that's how at least I try to approach things. It's way, way, way different now, bro. I mean, today you gotta see. You talked to that OG today, right?
Yeah.
And I won't say who it is, but you talked to that OG, bro. He 30 years,
Yeah.
you know, and you saw the way he talks. You saw the way he is. That you know, the way his approach now, it would not work in today's society of corrections. You know, not at least in the county jail. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because everything is different now, bro. You can't be that way. You really break a lot of rules now being that way. And it's not necessarily that you're doing anything wrong. It's just that I think you have to be careful. You have to be very careful when you come off as, because it's all about safety, you know. Right. And I mean, people might be like, bro, who are you to preach? Because I will say one thing, you know, I did end up getting, you know, in trouble for safety issues, right? Yeah. But because I was so cocky and arrogant at my time, right? I look at it now, I'm like, man, I don't think I could, you know, I can't, don't preach what was that one little saying? Don't do what I do, just do as I say. Yeah. Right. And I really learned that, man, bro, like the Lord has really shown me, like, no, because I can't tell my son, hey, don't do this. But then he sees dad doing it. And it's like, then my word just went down the drain, bro. Yeah. You know, but, yeah, no, I think this has been a really great first part 1 podcast. Right. I think that, do you have anything else you want to add?
No, other than that, you know, there's more stuff we probably can talk about. But,
oh, no, 100%.
You know,
if you want, you could add. We have a little time to add some whatever you want to talk about, but we can also save it for part 2. Yeah. And then when part 2, remember, this was kind of like, remember we weren't gonna do it. I'd say, oh, we'll do it next week, and then right. You can kind of get the material you want, and I'll give what I want. But I wanted to throw what we encountered today just on camera, you know, because I felt like it was a good blessed day, bro. Like we really got to see things. We got to like our conversations were just off the chain, and I really wanted to come out and just let everyone see that, you know. Yeah.
I would like to say thank you, Louis, for the invite. It's been an honor. It's been a privilege. And you know, I enjoy working with you in the future. I think God has a lot of exciting things in store for you. I see God's hand on your life. It's a beautiful presence. It's a graceful presence. And, bro, you can go far with that, you know. And also, it was pretty cool to ride with you and your former coworker, 2 gang force task unit officers. I was riding in the back, but nonetheless, I got to experience the tour, and
well, we both experienced it. Yeah, I didn't even know. Like when he started telling me, "Oh, this is this and this is that," like I said, I knew of it because I, you know, would hear about it in there. But when I actually got to see it, like, oh wow, this is what these people say they're from, and this is the area, and this is this and this is that, and then it just started giving me memories, right? And that's when you seen him talking about, oh, you know, this guy and, you know, this guy and, oh, I remember this guy and this guy. And bro, that's because I only had 10 plus years in there. This guy almost had 30. Wow. So you got to remember, like, it's a whole different, but that's the beauty of like not burning bridges, bro. That's the beauty of your networking. Yeah. Like for him to be able to just on the snap of a finger do that for us, like that was a blessing. Yeah. It was, you know, and he really got to really show us like, you know, this, that, and it was like I said, you being from Oxnard, I remember I was telling you like, hey, what do you think? Is this something like you're like, oh, kind of similar? Yeah. But you know, even when he was telling us that little story about, remember those apartment complexes? He's like, yeah, it's so bad that when you order a pizza, you have to go pick up the pizza right here.
Oh, that's right.
And I was like, wow, like that's wild, you know? Yeah. And I started seeing all this stuff, and then all the people that we got to see, like the homelessness, and it's like almost like. It's almost like, wow, like no wonder why these people continue to go back. Like there's nothing for them right here. And I think that's where maybe hopefully down the road, you know, obviously in God's timing, like maybe we could help out with that. Maybe we could try to figure something out. Like when I asked you, like, what do you suggest that we do, that we fix this, right? Yeah. And I feel like maybe in this, you know, until we do part 2, I would say let's start thinking of ideas of how do we help out the people of, you know, these areas to say, hey, we can offer you this or offer you that, or I mean, because I'm gonna be honest, bro, I'm gonna be bold. I think that my podcast is gonna blow up to the point where I am gonna be able to help a lot of people like that, and we can either, uh, even if it's something where it's small to start, like if it's just a meal, right? If it's just simple as, a shirt, right? Some clothes, some socks, anything,
Yeah.
bro. And then from there, maybe it can go to housing, programs, maybe more one-on-ones. We can bring in, counselors and try to fix this issue.
Yeah. Real quick, I wanted
Yeah.
to say, since we're on the subject, it's been on my heart, bro, to open up a men's home.
There you see.
You know what I
There you
mean?
go.
I've been in so many men's homes, not ain't funny, bro. So, know that I was an assistant director with Rocky Martinez for a certain men's home there in Fresno. So I have some experience, and you know, maybe we could look into that.
No, 100%.
Get a grant, file a grant, or
Yeah.
find some way to finance it. And we have resources, connections that would be able to maybe put bunk beds in there or help out with the sheets and the blankets, clothing, hygiene for the men. You know what I mean? The food.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, like I said, I think when this thing starts to take off, and people start to see, meaning sponsors and other people start watching us, right?
Yeah.
I think that when we can all, like I said, we're only going to go together, right? This is a community thing. I want to make sure that I want people to understand, like, Inside the Pod with Lou is nothing without the viewers, without the people that are watching, without,
Yeah.
And we only grow because of the community. And when we do, bro, like I said, I want to make sure that we're giving back to the community. And that's not only youth, bro, but if you're in adults as well. Like, if you're out on the street and you're struggling, I don't want to see you lay down in 100-degree heat.
Right.
I don't want to see you out there at 15, 20 degrees. I mean, Fresno doesn't get that cold, but let's say 30-degree weather. Like, you want to have shelter, bro. You want to make sure that you have something.
Right.
And the Lord loves everybody. So I think that in time, in God's time, He's going to do big things through us. And if we can eventually open our first men's home, then go into our second, go into our third, fourth, fifth, sixth, because it's one area, it's going to be great. But, bro, there's a lot of areas that need help. It's not just one, right?
Yeah.
And I believe that, once again, in time, He will show us who to help and who to, because I'm going to be honest, now that we're kind of on it, because I got a little time still. I'm telling you, like, I think, because I don't believe in religion, I believe in relationship, but God has put it on my heart, bro, that we're going to start a ministry. And I already know I already know who's going to run it, who's going to preach and who's going to, and I don't want to throw that out there yet. I'll leave that for a secret. But I say he's, if you don't know who Philip Anthony Mitchell is, I'd say look him up, right? And he's a great pastor, bro. He preaches a strong word.
Wow.
And I believe that the person that we're going to bring to our ministries, he's like the Philip Anthony Mitchell of the West Side, bro. Like, this guy brings you a strong word, and his thing is, his heart is all about God.
Right.
Everything is to glorify the Lord. I think when we go into something with that mindset, then it will work out, because remember, like, if your heart is pure and you're doing it for a good cause, it's like, how it's not going to work, It may not work what we think. Remember, I was telling you, there's a bunch of blessings that the Lord gives us that we don't even see. This is one of them. This day is one of them, bro. Like, even right now, after we do this podcast, we're going to barbecue. We're going to fellowship with some people, right? It's going to be a blessing, and I look forward to it, but we could sit here for the longest and just continue to, like, say these great things, right? But I want to, when we do part 2, we'll talk, you can kind of go. I know you had some notes and you had some stuff you wanted to bring up. We can always retouch on that. Even if we, bring on some people that you maybe want to bring on, or we could figure something out. Maybe we could do a podcast. We could take this thing mobile. Who knows? But I think that in time, you're right, in the God's time. But I'm gonna finish with the Bible verse, and then while I'm looking for it, if you want to let the people know or tell them anything you want to tell them.
Yeah, just I'd like to say to anybody watching, God bless you, and I hope that some of the things that we had to say would hit home with some people, and you're in our prayers, and God bless you.
For sure. Great message. But I'm not, so like I said, we always start every podcast with the Bible verse and we end with it. So today's Bible verse came to Joshua 1:9, and the word of God states, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." Joshua 1:9.
Amen.
So right there, that just kind of solidifies our whole message today, right? Joshua 1:9. So thank you, Brother Danny. Until the next time, brother.
Amen.
Alrighty.
That's right.